This is why the rich are getting richer and the poor and middle class get poor. What do the banks do? This is like Goldman Sachs, Wells Fargo, Bank of America, PNB Paribas, the big banks. They give this money now. It now becomes money, and they give it to the rich. That's why the poor and middle class get taken out. So why don't they give it to the poor and middle class? Because what happened in 1971, the dollar, or all money throughout the world, the yen, the euro, peso, became debt. So the reason the rich get richer is the way they get the money out of the banks, guys like me, is we borrow money. And what everybody else is telling you is get out of debt. What the rich are using debt for is to buy assets. So what happened in 2008 when the whole thing collapsed and bubble burst, they dropped interest rates so low because they wanted me to go in there and borrow. So in 2008, I borrowed $300 million to buy real estate at dirt cheap prices. That's how money is created. But the poor and middle class cannot participate in that because they lost their jobs, they lost their homes and all this. And the banks would never give you that much money because you have no financial education, you have no track record, you have no finances. So they give you a credit card, give you bonuses like, free miles, use credit cards. But this is why the rich is getting richer. So let me review it one more time. The Treasury then issues a bond. It's called a U.S. Treasury bill, 10-year, whatever it is. They sell it to the Fed. Feds write a check. Money goes into the bank, and the way it becomes money is they give it to the rich in the form of debt. And all these wizards out there say, oh, get out of debt, but invest in the stock market, which makes these guys richer too. Getting screwed because our school teachers are not doing their job. So that's kind of what's going on in the world today. So the rich get richer. The young people are deeply in debt with student loan debt, $1.6 trillion in debt. And my generation, their retirements will be toasted when the bubble bursts. Already, many state pensions are broke, like Phoenix. The city of Phoenix pension plan is underwater $9 billion. That means they're going to have to tax the poor and middle class to pay for Wall Street stealing the money from the pension plans, which brings up the next thing. The only way they can recoup their money is via taxes. So when they pull the taxes out, it then goes back to the Treasury. That's the system. And what I explain is guys like myself, we use debt, but we don't pay taxes legally. So that's why I wrote Fake. If you can understand that, just read the book and see if you can understand a little bit better. But more importantly is what can you do? If you can't borrow this much money, what else can you do? And I cover that in Fake. In Fake, I cover a thing called the infinite return, where if you have the right financial education, you don't need money to make money. So those are some of the things you will learn in Fake. I trust you will learn it because if you don't, you'll probably go back to school, and learn from a teacher who knows nothing about money. So let me clarify something about this here. This is called bubblenomics, but in technical term, in academic world, this is called Neo-Keynesian economics. It's basically an economy built on printing money to solve government's problems. John Maynard Keynes, who this is named at, would spin in his grave. He says, this is not what I designed it for. But all of these guys who run the government, they call it, well, John Maynard Keynes would do this. But that's why it's called Neo-Keynesian. It is a system designed to make the rich richer and the poor and middle class poor, which will never be taught in schools.